Hi, I'm Tim Birkland, Field Sales Agronomist for Growmark. I work in southwest Iowa covering the western side of AgriLand FS. Today we're going to be discussing how to do early season soybean evaluations. One of the first things I like to do when I pull into a soybean field is just scan the field, looking for any deviation in height, color, or looking for any bare spots. Now, as you can see with this soybean field right here, everything's looking fairly uniform, very little discoloration, and for the most part, very few bare spots. So from here, what we'll do is we'll go out and start taking site-specific evaluations, shooting to make one site evaluation for every 10 acres. So here we are at a spot to take a site-specific evaluation. One of the first things I like to do when I choose a site to take a further look at is just kind of scan the area. And again, what you're looking for is any deviations or abnormalities in the plants, different heights, colors, looking for any necrotic or chlorotic tissue, anything that stands out to you that would be troublesome to the plant. And as you can see here, everything's looking fairly normal. We have some leaves that look like they might have a little bit of chewing on, but for the most part, everything's looking fairly normal. So the next step would be to dig up a plant to take a further look at a single plant. So right here is a good representation of the area. And what you want to do when digging this plant up here is you want to be very careful as far as not to try and break the root system apart. So you just want to be very gentle, kind of lift it out of the soil, and then just start taking clumps of dirt and starting to break it off there, being very careful because you want to capture as much of that root mass as possible to investigate. So let's go ahead and kind of crush this dirt off here, and you will lose some of the root system. That's not a big deal. But you just want to be very careful because there can be things such as SEN starting to show up here in mid-June and things like that you want to be very careful that, if it is present, you want to be able to see that. So here we have our plant sample representative of the area to evaluate. First thing I like to do when evaluating a single plant is I like to stage it, okay? And we can tell on this plant that this is a V1 plant, getting very close to the V2 growth stage. The way we determine that is we work up the plant. We see here we got the cotyledon structures, we've got the unifoliates, and then we also have one fully unfolded trifoliate set of leaves. That indicates V1. As you can see here, we are getting very close to V2 as the second trifoliate set of leaves is really starting to unroll. So this plant at the V1 to V2 stage tells us some things about its physiological development. That is, starting down here at the root structure, that at the V2 stage, or the V1 to V2, we are going to start to get some nodule formations, as you can see here. But until we get to the V2 stage, the majority of the nitrogen this plant is taken up is really coming from the nitrogen in the soil. After V2 is when the nodules start to fix nitrogen and start to give it to the plant. As you work yourself up the plant, it's important to pay close attention to the hypocotyl area and also the stem. And what you're looking for is any types of lesions or any types of discoloration, soft tissue, anything that would be abnormal. Now, as you can see on this plant, everything's looking fairly normal. I really don't see any lesions. There's no discoloration in the tissue. Everything's looking fairly normal. So we start working up the plant, paying close attention to, again, the stem and then also the leaf structures. Now, as we work up here, we see the unifoliate leaves. They have good color, no necrotic or chlorotic tissue. We do see this one has a rip. More than likely that was from wind damage or other abiotic factors. So really nothing to be concerned about. As we work up to the trifoliate leaves, again, we see very, very nice, healthy tissue, no necrosis or chlorosis. Really, this plant is looking very healthy from the roots on up to the leaf structures. So once we evaluate that and evaluate the root systems, and determine that there is nothing of true concern here, we can continue to move on to another site to further investigate the soybeans. So today we covered how to do early season soybean assessments. Early season soybean assessments are a vital part to a high yield management system. For any further information on how to do early season soybean assessments or how to maximize your soybean yields, please contact your local FS crop specialist.